Welcome back everybody, this is Emery from UsedPhotoPro, and today we are set up in the darkroom to discuss film stocks. In today's video we're going to talk about what film stock to choose and where to find the necessary information on the packaging. So the first set of film stocks that we wanted to highlight are going to be the Cinestill 50D and Ilford Ortho 80+. Cinestill 50D is a color negative film stock that measures at 50 ISO and is daylight balanced, hence the 50D in it. You would shoot Cinestill 50D typically during daylight and with a lot of light because it is a slow speed film. But the idea there is because it is a slow speed film, daylight balanced, you can shoot longer exposures with an ND filter and get really interesting colors. Alongside Cinestill 50D, we have Ilford Ortho 80+. Ilford Ortho 80+ is a tungsten balanced, low speed black and white film. The reason you would shoot ortho is to set up an indoor shoot because it is tungsten balanced. So if you're using fluorescent lighting or any kind of other artificial lighting, it seems to behave a little bit better than your typical black and white. It's built like a cinematography film. With that being said, when you shoot ortho inside, it is better rated at 40 speed and can take a longer exposure. Outside, you can shoot it at 80 speed. Now while both are incredibly low speed film stocks, they both have very different purposes. While Cinestill 50D is a daylight balanced film, it is better suited to shoot outdoors. When inside, the cool tones can be a little crazy. Now with Ortho 80+, it is better suited to shoot indoors. Like I said, it is slow speed, but it is tungsten balanced, so when you're using fluorescent lighting, like I said before, it behaves a little bit better. So they're a little alike, but they're very different. And the next film stocks that we want to cover are going to be the Portrait series, 160 and 400. Now, both of which are going to be a pretty medium speed portrait film stock. However, 160 versus 400 is going to differ in a few ways. Portrait 160 is better suited for shooting with more controlled lighting and kind of getting less grain out of it. Now, they're incredibly alike, but the 400 is much more common in your everyday shooter. Because it's 400 speed, you can shoot it wherever you want. So it's not exclusive to shooting just portraits in incredibly controlled lighting, which makes it way more common to shoot than the Portrait 160. Now to add on to the differences or why you would choose one over the other, we do have to look at the speeds. So while they are incredibly similar, the Portrait 400 is much more flexible. And why people choose that over 160 is because of its flexibility. So if you're wanting to shoot this, that, and the other and not want to be stuck to shooting with flexible lighting, the Portrait 400 is definitely going to be a better choice for you. So the next film stock that we're going to cover is my personal favorite, Ilford HP5 400. Ilford HP5 400 is a black and white, medium speed, low grain, high contrast film. And the reason I like to shoot that one so much is because of how incredibly flexible it is. I shoot black and white exclusively, but I never shoot it at 400 speed. I'll shoot it at 200 speed, or 640, or 1600 depending on the format. Now, you would choose this HP5 400 speed because it is incredibly flexible, yeah, but it is really contrasty. So keep that in mind. HP5 is a red sensitive black and white film, so if you're shooting anything that's going to be kind of on the warmer side of things, expect really bright highlights and really deep blacks. Now with that being said, because it is red sensitive and incredibly flexible, you have a lot of options. You can use filters or you can push it and get incredible results. A lot of film stocks are incredibly flexible, especially the black and white film stocks, but HP5 is more geared towards shooting wherever you want it to be, which is why a lot of people will choose HP5 over different counterparts like the Deltas or different film stocks like Kodak. So moving on, we're going to highlight Cinestill 800T, which is Cinestill's other color negative film paired with Cinestill 50D. Now 800T is a high-speed color negative film that is tungsten balanced, hence the T at the end of 800. So one thing to keep in mind when shooting Cinestill 800T is that it is a little quirky. Cinestill was cut from a Kodak master roll meant for cinematography. So, since it's been repackaged and repurposed, the remjet layer, which is the layer that keeps the light inside the film, has been removed. So when you shoot it, you have to keep in mind of this little thing called halogens, which is part of the reason that a lot of people like to shoot it. It's really strange. Halogens are going to be where the light comes through the film and reflects outward and creates this orange kind of shadowy cast. It looks really interesting on the image, However, it can be a little quirky to navigate, so just keep that in mind when you shoot it. Now the last film stock that we want to touch on is a very interesting one. That's Ilford Delta 3200. Now upon first glance you immediately think that this film shoots at box speed at 3200. It's not exactly true. The film at box speed is rated around 800 speed. With that being said, it is incredibly flexible like a lot of other Ilford stocks. However, what makes this one different is that in 35mm and medium format, you can rate it at 3200 with really good results. Because it is a Delta form of the Ilford stocks, it has an incredibly fine T grain, is really sharp and contrasting, and makes for a really flexible shooting experience. So when looking at the packaging of the film stocks that you choose, you do have to keep in mind that all your information is there, subtly, but it's there. So your film stock typically will have the speed in which the film is best shot at, or the suggested speed. It's commonly referred to as box speed. Now, like I said before, film is incredibly flexible, but there are a few limitations, including the flexibility of the film. So if a box of film says HP5 400, that's what they suggest that you shoot it in. However, if you look on the inside of the box, typically they'll have a chart showing you developing times at 800, 200, 1600. So with that being said, all your information can be found on the packaging. On the packaging, you may notice next to the suggested box speed a little letter. The letter is in reference to the environment in which the film was best shot at. So like with Cinestill 50D, it is a daylight balanced film, best shot outside in natural light. Or Cinestill 800T is a tungsten balanced film that is best shot indoors or outside at artificial lighting. So in summary, we talked about 7 pretty common film stocks found at UsedPhotoPro. So while HP5 is my favorite film stock to choose, and typically what I've been shooting for the past year and a half, I've shot it all. Color negative, color positive, different balances, whatever you can throw at me. However, there are countless amounts of film stocks to choose from. So I hope I and this video will help you on your photographic endeavor, and until next time, sayonara.